What is going on, guys? I am recording PvP lesson 3 now. This is still my account. This is just on a different server. This is actually the server that I started on. This is server 366. But so I don't want to give away all my secrets on my main account. But today I am going to go over on this account, given what this account has, it has nowhere near what I have on my current account now, but given what this account currently has, I'm going to try to go over and build two carriers. I'm going to build the Midway, and then I'm going to build the Nyax with what I have, and then kind of talk about how I decide what equipment to pick, how I decide what planes to pick and to go for, mainly just a basic setup on equipment. So I'm going to make 3 videos today, I believe. This one is going to be on equipment, the next one is going to be on chips, and the third one is going to be on subs. I won't be able to make the wrap-up video today because I probably won't have enough time, but that wrap-up video is going to be how I put everything together and create individualized setups that I want to use. Anyway, so that being said, this account, base level 23. It's much weaker than my main account now. I used to play on 366. That was the first server I was on, and the reason why we changed is because we realized how many mistakes we made with equipment, with carriers, with everything. We're like, wow, we are so far behind everyone else. So you guys can see what server this is on. The commander of C is a Crep on here. Wow, holy crap, he's at 1 billion power now. You know, the O20 and C were the two main leading ones here. Oh, they got Gabio Secundo now. Yeah, I haven't been on this account in forever. But yeah, so there's a lot of big name players on this one. So if any of you are playing on server 366, I am actually going to leave a present, and I'm going to pop all of my uranium on this account. So go ahead, take all of it. Look at that. 470k, because I don't plan on ever using this account. So anyway, go have fun with that. 470k uranium on this account. I don't have much anything else, but go for it. Anyway, so let's get into it as far as how to kind of go over how to find out equipment. So the first thing that you want to talk about when you're looking at equipment, obviously click on your carrier and look at what skills it has. Okay, the idea is these 3 skills, in this case of the Nyax, the full warships attack, overall blockade, and deflector armor. You are going to want to build anything you can into enhancing these skills. A general rule of thumb is when you break a carrier, that carrier's equipment is really good on itself. So you want copies of them. So if you're using a JFK, guess what? The JFK engine, the JFK torpedo, and the JFK radar are probably the best 3 pieces of equipment for it. But yeah, so for all of these things, you just look at what skills that they have innately here, as well as command. Command matters if it's viable for warship or not. Command, this stat right here, says how many like warships you can keep on it. And the higher command, the more warships you can have on it. So like the JFK doesn't have as many as the Nyax. The Lincoln has a lot. The Hades, all the warship carriers that you see, people are doing warship setups or buffing their boats instead of using their planes for damage. This is kind of what they do. This is the stat you're looking for. And most of those carriers have full warships attack instead of overall attack anyway. So you want to be at full warship. So understanding what each of these skills means is incredibly important. For example, on the Nyax, right, I'm going to read this, right, convert highest defense bonus of the fleet into overall dodge based on a certain proportion, right? In this case, the proportion is 31%. And the overall bonus is deflector armor times your highest defense bonus. Now, what this means, you can actually look up in the handbook what this exactly means, but just because I already know, because I've built carriers with it before, it takes your total overall defense plus whichever one is higher, your aircraft carrier defense, aircraft carrier armor, I'm sorry, this percentage, or Warship armor, wherever it is. Yeah, Warship armor. Whichever one is higher, or in this, if it's battleship armor, if you have battleships built up, or my battleship armor would be higher than my cruiser armor in this case. So it'll take whatever one is your highest between your aircraft carrier plus and/or warships plus your overall, and then it'll convert 31% of that total value into more dodge. So you can see the deflector armor is giving me 27.89 dodge right here, and that's going to equal, like if I added up the what is it, the 30% overall dodge or overall defense here, plus I believe it's 60% is the highest because it's my battleship armor, plus 60% right here. So that's 90% armor overall times 31%. You're going to get that 27 point whatever value that's there. So if I, for dodge, you're going to get 27.89. 27.89 is 31% of 90, if that makes sense. For English speaking people, I know this is going to be very confusing for non-English speakers. I'll put a description below that you can translate kind of what I'm going over. But anyway, so on the Nyax, they do a pretty decent job of telling you what to build for this. So you're going to want to build things specifically to help survive longer and increase the dodge as much as possible. It tells you up here, but it has a decent attack. You're going to want to buff that. It has deflector armor, which is you're going to want to focus on that. And this plus 150 overall blockade really just helps. I kind of ignore this on this case because it has deflector armor, and deflector armor is based on other armor. If this was a percentage overall blockade and this was just dodge, I'd probably just go with more overall blockade and get like a Starry River engine or something. But in order to check what equipment to put on these, right, you kind of want to go first to the equipment handbook. So we're going to focus on this skill, the deflector armor skill, and we want as much armor as humanly possible. So I'm going to go to equipment handbook, and then kind of just look through. I'm going to comb through everything to see what has the highest defense. All right. I already know from experience, because I build dodge carriers regularly, that the Ford +2 engine here is going to give me 45% overall defense, right? So we want that because that's going to give us defense, and it's also going to convert more of this number to dodge. Okay, so we don't even have to, we get more dodge from getting things that are non-dodge. Right, and that works for all of those special skills like precise strike and violent attack, right? It converts the percentage of it. JFK is another good option. You're looking at 36% defense, but you also get 36% attack. This is obviously at orange +2. Very few people are going to be able to get there, but a lot of people will be able to get red. So 24%. I would rather, in this case, I wouldn't go with JFK. I would go with the Ford +2 because one, it's easier to get, and two, it's higher defense. You're going to get more dodge from it. I think the dodge on the Nyax is way more valuable than an extra 24% attack. So, if you're going through this, you kind of want to just comb through and just make sure look at the stats and make sure you're not missing out on anything, if anything new, or they allowed something else to break. So this is an interesting thing, right? Because now you have Warship armor on here at 35%. It's another possibility. I wouldn't do it because you could get more with the overall, but it's an option, right? Anything that gives you armor in any of those categories is an option. Another one that people really, really seem to like on this is the Midnight Pumpkin engine. Is that it? Yeah, or I'm sorry, Magic Shark engine. Because it gives you just flat dodge, and it also gives you overall attack. So people tend to really like this for it as well, 35% dodge. This is going to give you more dodge, right? Unless you have an insanely high, like a 70% deflector armor on, which is really, really hard. You would need the Holy Copernicus phalanx or something like that to even get close to that. This is a really good option with the skill, right? 35% dodge is really good, and you're going to need 100 or more. You're going to need more than 100 defense to get 35 dodge out of the deflector armor skill, at this level at least. Meaning, so 35%, if it's at 31% of armor, you would need more than 100 extra armor to get this 35% dodge from deflector armor. So this is a really, really solid option for any dodge carrier, because it just gives you an extra 35% dodge instead of that. Plus, it also gives you 40% attack. So that's really good too. Magic Shark is a really good option. I like using the Ford still because of carrier delay. It helps you out more against other dodge carriers. Not having carrier delay is it makes it way harder for you to fight dodge carriers. But Magic Shark is still a really viable option. So out of our engine options, we have JFK, we got Ford, and we got Magic Shark. Now I don't have a Magic Shark on this account, so I'm probably going to just go with the Ford. If you go to torpedoes, you want to comb through. Most torpedoes aren't going to give you defense, right? They're not going to give you any form of defense. So they're not really going to help you, except for, this is why a lot of people use this one, the Tortoise Bomb from the Turtle Carrier. Its skill counterattack gives you 45% armor at red +2. So that is the only torpedo in the game that's going to give you actually armor. So, out of this 45% armor, you're also going to get an additional, right, at 30%, you're going to get an additional 12 to 15% dodge from this torpedo. So that's another thing that you can kind of just stack more and more armor on it. Search radars, there aren't really anything that give you defense. I don't believe, actually, one of these I believe does. Well, that gives you 45% dodge, but you wouldn't want to do that one anyway. And again, I'm looking at all of these at the top because it's really kind of a waste to look at anything else not at the top. Out of all of these, I mean, we're probably going to use the Lincoln because that's what we have, right? And at the top, it's more dodge anyway, plus interference to aircraft for dodge setups. So this reduces the accuracy of your enemy's aircraft. Plus, if you're going with a warship setup, this increases your command, okay? And on warship carriers, if you're planning on using warships, which if you're doing a dodge setup, you should be planning on using warships. Dodge setup with planes for damage is counterproductive, because most of the dodge carriers require full warships attack, like Nyx requires full warships attack. So if you're not protecting your warships and they blow up, now your damage is just going to go way down. So if you're focusing on your warships, and this stat at the bottom there, the command power fleet, allows you to bring more warships, you're literally bringing more guns to a gunfight. So the Lincoln Search Radar is going to be a really, really solid option there. Another contender would be Anniversary Carrier, gives you a ton of dodge. Interception, carrier resistance is really good as well, but this is really hard to get and very expensive. And those, I mean, you have free options like Phantom Search Radar. 55% is fine. Again, you're still going to be better off with the Lincoln, especially if you can get it to like red +1. Even though it's, 6% less, the 25% reduced to accuracy acts as more dodge in that sense. So even here, the other one gives you 55% dodge. The red Lincoln radar gives you virtually 63, because this reduces their accuracy for planes. So, minus accuracy plus dodge is better for you. Yeah, and then missile. On dodge carriers, you typically are going to want to use electronic countermeasure. So the Lincoln is a good option. Electronic countermeasure stops the opponent's buffs from happening. So yeah, you're going to want to use something with electronic countermeasure. That's really, really good there. Naval, you either want to use a smart skin or something like this thing, because it gives you more of that electronic countermeasure, just so that, say like the enemy is using like heat-seeking guidance, right? Something like a Tu-95 that is heat-seeking guidance to reduce your dodge. This reduces the probability that that happens. So electronic countermeasure is it reduces the probability of that skill triggering when it hits you. So like this gives you 106% chance if you use like the +3 version, 106% chance more that it doesn't hit you. But 106%, you would think, oh, it'll never hit me, but it goes against your enemy's boost morale. So if they have 100% boost morale and you have 106% electronic countermeasure, they have -6% boost morale, if that makes sense. They cancel each other out when you're fighting each other. So, you know, -6%, and then the TU-95's trigger rate for that, I don't even know what it is, but whatever percent the TU-95's trigger rate is for heat-seeking guidance, 30, right? So now it would, if they had 100% boost morale, it would be 130% chance. It adds to it, but if you have 130% electronic countermeasure and they have 100% boost morale plus this 30% trigger rate, it's a 0% chance. This is never going to happen. That's why electronic countermeasure is really good too for dodge carriers or warship carriers in general. So if I'm going through the equipment that I have, right, for this carrier, missile. So here's a bunch of different options. Electronic countermeasure, it's an option. I wouldn't use the Ares missile because it doesn't give you any attack unless you use the skill, and you have to get it pretty high. R-77, aircraft attack based, not really good for dodge carriers. I wouldn't use this. You would use it if you're using aircraft. So on the midway, I probably will use this missile because it gives me aircraft attack. And I will be using an aircraft setup for that. Going through super anti-aircraft missile, another great option. Blockade to aircraft to reduce damage and protect my warships, plus more damage. That's a good option. But I'm probably going to use Lincoln missile. Okay. Ares is another good engine because it gives you just flat dodge as well. I'm not going to use it because I believe for the purpose of this, I'm just going to use the defense here to focus on the deflector armor skill. Okay. I don't have the tortoise bomb, okay, on this account, so I wouldn't, obviously I'd be looking for something that's like a replacement. So what things can I get that help protect me, right? Last stand helps protect my ships a little bit. This helps increase my damage. That's also a good option, and it's free. That's another really good point. So something that's free is also beneficial. You know, I don't really have too much on here. So as far as if I'm trying to maximize my dodge, I'd probably end up going, or maximize protecting my carriers, I'd probably go with the Ares torpedo. And it's a opportunity cost. If I go with this and take the 17% last stand, right, I'm losing out on potentially way more damage because this is just a better missile for that. So I'm gonna use the Jack torpedo. One, it's free. And two, it gives me more damage than this will protect my ships, if that makes sense. I'll get more out of the other one, even though that other one doesn't help protect my ships. I'll get more damage out of it than this will help my ships. Okay, so I'm going to go with that as far as things that I have on here. This aircraft attack speed is really important, specifically for aircraft setups, go figure. But it's also really important for non-aircraft setups, for warship setups. And the reason being is, say you're fighting someone and you're using a dodge carrier. If they have more accuracy than you have dodge, they're going to hit you. But say your attack speed is faster and you have the plane, the Black Hurricane or something, or like the Phantom, flying, or what is it, the Flying Phantom, Flying Dragon, that gives your warships more dodge, and that dodge, that increase, will give you it'll be the difference between protecting your ships and not. Then you might want to go with attack speed here instead of something that gives you more accuracy or boost morale to help your skills trigger. So either option is okay. This is a situational pick. Most of the time I would pick this one because it gives you a better chance of your skills triggering. But if the difference between you losing all your ships in one shot or being able to actually survive that shot and keep more of your warships, I would go with this. Okay, so this is a situational one, but I'm going to put this on for now. Know that you can also use the Jack radar even in a dodge setup. For phalanx, we want as high of a defense as humanly possible on here. Fire rain is probably going to be, out of all the ones that we have, this only gives us 29. This gives us 69. So that's going to be the option here. None of these other ones come even remotely close to that. We're going to put Fire Rain on. And then out of these, right, this is more for an aircraft setup. Critical hit is nice even for your warships. Accuracy is nice for your warships, so you can use it, but you're not getting as much dodge from it if you are. All pirate equipment, rule of thumb, is crap. Do not use pirate equipment. Anything you get from killing pirates is useless. It's better off just giving or making shards, and then if you want to pick up the red pieces to bring your power up or manipulate your power by adding these pieces to like weak carriers to change your power around so that you could fight different people in towers, that's pretty much all they're useful for. Lincoln Search Radar gives me more dodge, gives me reduce accuracy on the enemy, plus it allows me to bring more guns to my gunfight. This will increase my damage. I'm going to equip that. And on this account, this is probably the best you can get it. This equipment is not amazing for the Nyax necessarily. This obviously you want to get to a way higher color, like red or or above gold at least, but red eventually. And for newer servers, obviously you're going to be blue, purple, whatever. But you want to eventually get these colors up as high as possible. There's better options for the phalanx as well. Fire Rain is a great free option for a lot of people, for a lot of carriers. But yeah, so 69% overall defense is pretty good. So I'm going to be fine with that. But if you go to like the handbook again and look at phalanxes, I mean, there's some phalanxes here that give you a ton of armor, right? Super phalanx. A lot of people love this one. Most people won't have it at orange. But so like over these two, if you're using the skill, you're probably going to want to use the super phalanx at gold instead of the Fire Rain phalanx if you have it, right? Because you're going to get the HP. This armor is going to add to this armor, and you're going to be close to that 69% anyway from the Fire Rain. Plus now you get blockade to warship and extra health, so you get other stuff for these. So there's better options than the one I have. Holy Capricornus phalanx. This gives you more deflector armor and deflector armor here. So yeah, you lose out on the defense that you can get from your phalanx, but if you have like the Ford engine that gives you more defense, you have the tortoise shell that gives you more defense, your tech, your research for defense is up, and you can get defense from a couple other things as well. This might be a really solid option, because now from that 31% that you had before, with 20 plus 5, so 25% plus the 31% from here, now you're looking at 55% deflector armor. So out of every 100 armor that you have on this carrier, which as of right now we have 126, you get 50 more dodge. You get a ton more. Now overall dodge on here is 100. We see this one up. If you did the math from the overall defense plus that 60% from somewhere down here, 60% from battleship armor, you're going to get this. Now, this Nyax, especially on this server, is still going to get annihilated by a lot of stuff. 101 dodge is not enough to compete at most higher levels. It's just not enough. So deflector armor is great, but you're going to have these pieces of equipment at gold, red, +2 or higher. This has got to be red. You know what I mean? Like all the defense, you're going to have the turtle shell with the skill on. You're going to look for garrisons and stuff. 101 just isn't going to cut it. You're going to dodge against weaker people, but it's just not good enough to compete at a higher level. You're going to need closer to 200 to 300. Well, in this spot, above 200% dodge to be pretty effective against most enemies, and really you need to be above like 220 to 250 to be effective against higher level people that are running orange R77 and JPG radar attack setup or aircraft attack setups. You're going to need to be in the 250s to even compete against that. So because they're going to get so much accuracy from their skills. So, but this is with the equipment that I'd have. This is the setup that I would go with. All right, on this, and this is the setup that I did go with, and I got my butt kicked on this server. So that's why I realized what mistakes we made, and then we switched over, and we're doing a lot better now. As far as the midway, I'm going to kind of go over this pretty quick. Different skills: overall attack, overall armor, and sunder immunity. This one I'm kind of ignoring. Sunder immunity, I'm not going to, unless you have a midway phalanx that gives you more sunder immunity, that's fine. But sunder, it's pretty much on anything. It's not really going to help you all that much against this. The midway is pretty good. 56% overall attack is great. 56% overall armor is great. For this, I would just go with standard setup, and I would go with aircraft attack. So on here, I would personally, like, out of all these other missiles, deterrence to warship, none of this stuff is all that great. I would easily go with R77 here. This should be red or orange. Here, forward attack engine, so that I have more overall attack, because I'm trying to buff up this overall attack stat. So, right, my missile gave me 36% more. My engine gave me 25% more than that. Torpedo, I'd probably use the same one, right? If I was using the +6 in the other, I'd use the +5 here, or vice versa. Just put whatever the highest one you have there. On this slot, this is an aircraft setup. This is what you want to use against pirates, but for PvP aircraft setups, whoever attacks first is usually going to win. If all things equal, if you have all the same level equipment, outside of this, whoever has more attack speed is going to win. Whoever hits first wins, which is why that's important. Again, on this, I would go with, since it's an overall defense carrier or overall armor carrier, I would again use an overall armor or overall defense phalanx. I wouldn't use necessarily full warship's defense is okay. Crit mitigation is very good actually, so maybe the jack phalanx would be awesome on this too. But I like adding into, so this is 56%. I like adding on to that, and now it's another 69%. So you're just kind of stacking as much as you can onto these. And since this is an aircraft setup, I would use JPG1. Now, from my other video, the first one, actually, the free carrier setup, lo and behold, look what it is, R77. That's the free carrier setup. You can upgrade this one entirely from free materials from playing and hitting a lot of pirates. Forward engine, you can get, again, from free materials from playing, or you can't get it from hitting pirates, but the free carriers that you get in the supply depot, when you break those parts, you get shards. You could get this very easily for free. A lot of our free players already have +2s, and that's on server 420. Totally free. Don't spend a dime on it. Jack radar or jack missile torpedo comes from rallies. Same way as forward engine, totally for free. You can get it to +2 pretty quick. And from pirates, totally free. All of these pieces of equipment are totally free. Okay. I'm going to go over planes in another video, but this is how I would base an aircraft attack setup. And the other one, this is how I would base a warship-based setup, focusing on more defense and command, right? So that's like a baseline for both types of setups for going over equipment. Really, the rule for any carrier, look at these percentages, comb through the equipment handbook, and find things that match. Okay, for here, look at that. Full warships attack with electronic countermeasure and boost morale on aircraft, enterprise missile. No wonder everyone pretty much uses it on the Nyax. Right? It has all of the stats you need. It's got that full warship attack. It's got electronic countermeasure, so you can stop people from hitting you with heat-seeking guidance. It's got boost morale, so you have a better chance of proccing your skills or triggering your skills. No wonder people use it. It all makes sense. It copies the stats that the carrier already has innately. And then for these special skills over here, find out what you need, in this case armor, and find anything that has armor and strap that on there. You're probably going to be a lot better off than you normally are. Cool. All right, guys, that is it for the equipment part of the video. And this is already running pretty long, so I'm going to end it here, upload it, and then I'm going to start making the chip part of the video, or lesson 4, is it? Yeah, I think lesson 4. And I'm going to go over chips. Lesson 5 is going to be subs. All of those will be out today. And I gotta make one for aircraft too, so that'll be 6 or whatever. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Anyway, next one's coming out relatively soon. Peace.